So I've been building this robot for about 3 weeks now. And in the last two videos, I built the drive mechanism and the brush mechanism. And in today's video, I'm going to be building the cover that goes around the brushes. So make sure you like and subscribe and share this with a friend. Let's get into it. When when I was designing the collection mechanism for the brushes, I was originally thinking that that was really loud. Sorry. Um, that this ramp would, looking for something, travel along the path, and the brushes would then be able to. This is really hard to explain. The brushes would be able to scoop whatever it's trying to collect on top of this. But the problem is, if this is driving along and it hits something hard, then it's just going to stop the vehicle in its tracks. Versus if this was flipped around and the vehicle was driving the other direction, it would then skip over top of it. So that's something that I had to redesign. And I was figuring that out when I was mocking it up on here onto something like that. Problem is like, say you're just driving along and you hit like a piece of concrete or something, that's just going to stop the entire robot from trying to progress forward. But if you had it the other way, whereas if this was driving along, this would just essentially go over the top of it. And especially if that's right in the front here, it's going to want to pivot a lot easier than if it was back here where it's trying to pick up the entire weight of the robot. So I like the design moving forward. I got some other changes that I need to make. I'm going to move the motor back. I got to remake the motor housing. I can make them a lot smaller. You'll see that in a later video. What I was running into before. And what I mean is how these gears are aligned. These cogs also need to be aligned in order for that whole thing to run true. So I have to keep adjusting this wheel with the gear around it. And I thought I got it right the first time, but it's kind of like a timing belt on a car. Oh, there it started to fall in. So it must just be like one or two teeth out. I'll keep messing with it. Rides on it. That's okay. We can just shift everything over on this bar just a little bit, pull this gear out a little bit, and I think we'll have just enough clearance in order to clear that motor. And it might just be too, but this thing isn't pulled down all the way. Oh, there we go, it's getting better. Yeah, so it doesn't need to move that much, just a little bit. So when I designed this, I designed the wheel that drives the brushes, and it's just a little too close to the drive motor, and I need to shift all those brushes over to one side. And also the one side of the brushes needs to be adjusted down, and that will straighten out the brushes and then give a little bit more clearance to the motor. Here I'm just disassembling that one side of the brushes, and I'm taking it over to my drill press and trying to just shove all the brushes over to one side just to give a little bit more clearance for that motor. And I end up making a new piece that goes on the end of that that'll extend the brushes just a little bit more and kind of close the gap on the motors that are on that side. And when I added those little pieces of brushes, those brushes were wanting to come apart, so I just added some super glue to hold the bristles in place of the brush when I put it back together. As I'm working on this robot, getting it put back together, I wanted to go over a couple of the design changes. So that ramp wasn't going to work before, so I needed to design something that was going to be on the front of the robot. And this was the first design that I came up with, but the problem with it, it was just a little bit too bulky. I think that I really couldn't adjust it a whole lot, and the way that it mounted to the bar was not really good. So the next design that I came up with, it spaced it away from the front bar, which also allowed me to adjust it in and out so I could bring it closer to the brushes or push it further away from the brushes. And you can see this is what I came up with. And that flap underneath is, it went through a couple of changes. It started as a rigid part, like you can see here, and the bolts went through the top side. But on the new flap design, which is like a rubber flap, the bolts actually come up through the bottom and it secures the flap that way. So if I ever need to change it out in the future, I don't have to disassemble the front of the robot to get to the screws. So it's kind of hard to see on camera, but on each one of those panels, there's a overlap on the next panel. And what that does is it's just going to keep debris from getting into where all the electronics are going to stay, which is in the front of that machine. Alright, so I got all these electronics buttoned up, and now it's time to go outside and do some testing. I got these plastic pieces from a leftover project, and I figured they would be perfect for putting on the ground and trying to pick up. Oh, it actually works! Oh, awesome. That's All right, guys, we're getting closer to the finished product. On the next video, I'll be building the collection bin and shortening up the frame and doing some other design changes to make it a little bit more efficient. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and share this with somebody. It helps out the channel. Thank you. See ya.